Okay, so this is for the BTEC Level 3 National Extended Diploma in Business, and we're looking at the Unit 2 Developing a Marketing Campaign exam. So we're looking at a SWOT analysis now. Previously, we looked at pestle analysis, and we mentioned that for the justification part, you need to discuss one or more analytical tools. Okay, and I suggest for my students to look at two analytical tools, which are pestle and SWOT. Okay, so let's get into it. So a SWOT analysis is a framework used to examine the internal and external factors affecting a business. Okay, and the internal factors are the strengths and weaknesses, and the external ones are opportunities and threats. So SWOT essentially stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we're looking at strengths now. This is what the business excels in or does really well. If we take the first one, a strong brand. Some businesses have built their brand over a long time and have invested money into their brand, okay, through advertisements and through promotional activities, okay. And when you have a strong brand, it means you can do things like charge a higher price, and people will still buy into that brand because your brand speaks volumes. Your brand is communicating that it is a high quality, maybe um, a good product, a product that we can trust. Um, your brand should have loyal customers. Okay, so having loyal customers is another strength. Okay, if you've got loyal customers and you decide to increase your prices, a lot of your customers should stay. They shouldn't just disappear. Okay. Um, Also, a pricing strategy could be a strength. Okay, so depending on what your product is and how you price your product, that could be a strength. People could like that. Okay, your customers could love the way you price your product. And very quickly, we have different pricing strategies. Some of them are psychological pricing, cost plus pricing, penetration pricing, and price skimming. Okay, these are some examples of pricing strategies. Um, the USP or competitive advantage could be a business's strength. Okay, so the unique selling point, something that they do that the business does differently from other businesses, or something that the product has which makes it different from other products. For example, Nike's air bubble. Okay, that's a USP. That's their competitive advantage that enables them to charge a higher price. Technology can be a strength. So certain businesses have certain technological advancements in their products or items, and that can be a strength of theirs. For example, Apple has FaceTime, which allows one Apple iPhone user to call another um, for free. Okay. Research and development. Okay, so that could be a strength. And some companies invest billions of pounds into their research and development. And again, that prevents other businesses from entering the market. Okay, research high costs into research and development means that there's high barriers to entry. So it's not easy for anyone to just enter the industry. Staff training could be a strength. Okay, if you train your staff, what does that lead on to? It leads on to better staff, more well-equipped staff, more knowledgeable staff. They'll be able to provide more product knowledge and product information, and they'll be able to conduct their work more efficiently. Okay, and the staff should be more, you could say, of a high quality. Okay, and then they should be able to provide high quality customer service. Okay, so that could be a strength as well. Many times I go to a restaurant or I go out somewhere, and if the customer service is of a high standard, that's a really positive thing. That's the reason why I will keep returning back to that business. Okay, so then that leads on to repeat purchases. Okay, so that's strengths. Now, obviously, strengths aren't just limited to what you see here. A strength could be anything. Okay, so make sure when you receive your part A for this exam, you really analyze the research that has been provided to you, and you really look for those strengths. Now we're moving on to weaknesses. This is what the business doesn't do so well in and needs to work on or improve. Okay, so a weak brand could be a weakness. Okay, not investing into your brand, that could be a weakness. And it's just the opposite. Okay, having disloyal customers could be a weakness. So, if you decide to increase your prices because maybe raw materials is costing a lot or inflation is increasing, so you've decided to increase your prices as a business, and your customers all just flock away and disappear. Um, well, that's not really good, is it? That's not really a good thing. That's a weakness. So you want to try to have loyal customers, but if you don't, then that is a weakness. Having a poor pricing strategy is also a weakness. Okay, so maybe having something like price penetration for a technological product that doesn't really sit well, does it? Normally, a technological product, an item like a phone or computer-related equipment, the pricing strategies should be more aligned with price skimming. Okay, where you charge a high initial price and then lower the price over time. You shouldn't really choose price penetration for a technological product because that doesn't really make sense. Poor customer service could be a weakness. I mean, that's very self-explanatory. If you provide poor customer service to somebody in a restaurant, for example, they're not going to return back to the restaurant, and then they're going to tell their friends and family what happened, the events that unfolded at the restaurant, which is negative word of mouth being spread about the business. Okay, offering low quality products or services, that's a weakness. And again, what I just said previously, if the product breaks, if the product breaks easily or rips, um, that's going to lead on to not returning back to the business, and again spreading negative word of mouth about the business. High staff turnover is a weakness. So if the business is receiving a lot of resignations or people quitting or people just leaving the workplace within a year, there's loads of people doing that. That's what high staff turnover is basically, all right? The amount of people leaving and entering a workplace. So if staff turnover is high, that suggests that there's something wrong with the business and the way it's run. Okay, so that could be a weakness. We need to try and retain those staff members, and how could we do that? If we look at the strengths, training is a good example, okay, of trying to retain these staff members. Maybe we need to train our staff and empower them with more knowledge. Maybe we need to train our managers and empower them with more leadership skills to be able to successfully motivate our staff. Um, High levels of debt could be a weakness. So if the business has high levels of debt and they owe money to maybe banks or anyone else, this could be a weakness. Other business might not want to invest into a business which has high levels of debt. And unreliable suppliers could be a weakness as well. If suppliers aren't supplying on time or on the correct day, if suppliers can't meet an increase in demand during the week, for instance, if suppliers are supplying, I don't know, items which break easily, this could be a weakness as well. Okay, but the business may need to think about changing suppliers. We're now looking at opportunities. This is what the business could incorporate into their business. This should positively improve the business. Okay, so it's something that the business could do. All right, remember this is an external factor, so something maybe outside of the business. Okay, so choosing a higher quality supplier, this could be an opportunity. All right, we spoke about having unreliable suppliers. Maybe you're choosing a supplier which is more reliable. Okay, it might cost a bit more money, but it's better to have someone that's reliable, someone that can, meet demands at short notice. Maybe someone that can come during the week and drop off some more supplies, again on short notice. Okay, or choosing a higher quality supplier, so the items you sell, they don't break easily or they're not returned or refunded. Selling into a new market could be an opportunity. Okay, and a new market could be somewhere overseas. It could be a whole new target market of people. Okay, you could be currently selling to, I don't know, teenagers, whatever the product or item is, and now you want to sell to young adults or adults or families. Okay, so selling into a new market or selling overseas into a country which you haven't explored before. Okay, these are opportunities. Partnerships, mergers, takeovers. These are all opportunities as well. Maybe you want to partner up with someone or merge with another company or even take over another company. Okay, these are opportunities. You could take over maybe a competitor or merge with a competitor or go into partnership with someone that has similar values or a similar vision as you do. Okay, you could possibly expand your product range. Okay, so an opportunity could be to expand the product range and maybe go into something which you haven't delved into before, or haven't really thought about. But something on the rise, something trending maybe, something that will earn you a lot of money, something a bit similar to what you're already doing. We've then got trends, social media, and apps. These are all opportunities. Okay, if something's trending, maybe jump onto the trend. This is a great opportunity for the business. We could use social media if we're not using social media. I know a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations now, they're creating Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts just in case. Okay, so they're creating accounts and just saving the name of their organization just in case they decide to create a TikTok account in the future or create an Instagram account in the future for their organization. Apps is a great opportunity, so maybe create an app for your organization or business so people can be in touch with your business from all over the world globally. They don't have to be in a shop to just to identify with you or use the internet. Okay, there can be an app on the phone where they can keep track on things. For example, the gym. The gym has an app now, and you can keep track of many things like your weight, your intake, even how busy the gym actually is, and the opening times. And you can fiddle about with your membership subscriptions if you wish to do that. And new technology is an opportunity as well. If there's any new opportunities, then new technology will suit that. So just keeping your eye on new technology as well, and just seeing what you want to incorporate or into your business is a great idea. For example, Asda and Sainsbury's and a lot of these supermarkets are now incorporating self-service checkouts, or they have been doing it for years now. And some supermarkets have like a self-scanner, so you pick up the scanner as soon as you enter the superstore, and as you go around shopping, you can just scan the items. Okay, so just new technology. Um, okay. We've got threats as well. So this is the last one, threats. This is what could harm the business or what could lose the business customers, sales, profit, or investment. Okay. Um, the first example is competitors. Now, I would say this is one of the main threats for any business. And in your Unit 2 exam, you definitely want to be talking about competitors as a threat. Okay. If you want, you could talk about market share. You know, the main competitors, they should have a large amount of market share. So you definitely want to talk about this. So that's a percentage of the industry that business pretty much owns, yeah, or sells to, um, or how much they own in terms of sales. Okay. Lockdown could be a threat. So if there's another lockdown, that could threaten the business. You know, can your business adapt to the lockdown? If it's a new business, has it ever been through a lockdown before? Um, if it's recently open, how did they react to the lockdown? So these are things that we wish to understand. Remember, we need to always be thinking about um, our customers, like our consumers, and what their needs and wants are. Not all businesses um, not all businesses fail during the lockdown. Remember, Amazon actually made a lot of money during the lockdown. A lot of businesses actually made quite a bit of money during the lockdown because people started to resort to buying online, okay, and purchasing things online. Bad weather could be a threat, depending on the business. If it's an outside sort of business and it's raining quite a bit, that could affect business sales. If it's a business where you're growing like vegetables or some sort of crops or something, if there's a flood or a drought, this could affect sales, and this could push up the prices actually if there's less supply. Remember inflation. If you watch the pestle video, I spoke a bit about inflation and interest rates and exchange rates. So inflation is currently at 7%, which is quite high. And also, inflation is a threat because it's just an increase in the average price level, which is what is happening right now. And prices are increasing all over the show. There's energy price increases, petrol prices are increasing. There's your normal household goods that you buy in the supermarket are increasing. You can probably think of some examples of items that are maybe you've seen and they're increasing, maybe Tesco meal deals and stuff like that. So inflation is a big threat to businesses. Now the reason inflation is a threat is because if inflation is increasing, that means that the cost of items and the cost of products are increasing. That means the cost of living is increasing. So that means people have less disposable income to spend elsewhere. Okay, so that means people have less money to spend in your business or the business which is mentioned in the case study. Okay, so generally speaking, if inflation is increasing, people have less money to spend in your business. All right, and if inflation is increasing, that means that depending on what your business is, the raw materials that you buy or the items that you buy to even create your product or service or whatever it is the business is, the cost of your raw materials and the cost of your equipment and the cost of your goods are going to increase. So that means your price is going to increase as well. And remember, I spoke about interest rates. I'll speak about it briefly again. Interest rates have increased from 0.5% to 0.75%. And interest rates are the cost of borrowing and the reward for saving. But if interest rates have increased, that means the cost of borrowing is going to increase. So that means people will take out less loans because loans will become expensive and people will have to pay back more in the form of interest as well on that loan. And people will tend to save more. Okay, so if interest rates are higher, people will save more because the reward for saving is higher. We've got exchange rates. Exchange rates could be a threat if the pound gets weaker. And then this means that we're going to have to pay for more. Maybe we have to buy more. We're going to have to spend more pounds buying US dollars, for instance, or buying euros. If we're importing goods from those countries anyway, to manufacture our products. Okay, so that's only when exchange rates come into it. If we're really doing business abroad and stuff like that. Laws and regulations could be a threat as well. Okay, so a new law comes in, a new regulation comes in, that could be a threat. It could mean, for example, if the minimum wage increases, that could be a threat to a business, and that means that the business now has to pay its workers more money. Okay, so that's an increase in business costs. And if there's any other regulations that affects a business or a certain industry, then the business has to follow it. Okay, the business may have to change its policies and change its um, rules as well, and rules, regulations, and policies of the actual business. Okay, we'll have to rewrite stuff, and that's what we call an increase in red tape or bureaucracy. So there'll be a lot of paperwork involved, changing all of the wording and paperwork if there's a change in regulations, and that's costly. That's very costly. Now, I've got an example of a SWOT analysis for Apple. I've used Apple because everybody knows Apple. So let's get into it. So the strengths of Apple, their research and development in 2021 amounted to 22 billion US dollars. Okay, so that's a strength of theirs. Like 22 billion, that's a lot of money, isn't it? We're not talking about like £100,000 or $100,000. We're not talking about $1 million or 10 million. We're talking about 22 billion dollars in 2021. It's a lot of money, and it's hard to compete with a business like that when they're spending so much money on research and development and trying to be technologically innovative. Very hard to just enter that sort of market and try to compete with them. One of the strengths again is brand loyalty. Apple has strong brand loyalty. And sometimes you'll see their consumers or their customers queuing up outside of the Apple store, or outside of the Apple store in tents even, queuing up in tents and sleeping over the night before, um, waiting for the next Apple product to be released. And that's brand loyalty. Okay, that's how much these people are into the brand and are sold. Like they don't care how much the price of the Apple phone costs. They'll buy it. They need to keep up to date with technology, and that's why price skimming works so well with these technological products, especially technological products with a strong brand. Another strength of Apple is FaceTime. We mentioned that before. Another strength of Apple is the high quality of their phones. And another strength is the technology that they infuse or have within their phones. Another strength is their product range. So Apple has a lot of products. They've got all service as well, product or services that they have. They have a lot. So you've got the Apple iPhones, you've got Apple Pay now, you've got Apple Watches, Apple TVs, Apple Music. Okay, so Apple have a lot of things. Apple Mac as well. So that's a strength. Okay, if we're looking at weaknesses now, their high price could be seen as a weakness. It's such a high price; it puts some people off. So that's a weakness. It definitely puts me off. Incompatibility with other devices. So Apple, sometimes you can't really use Apple with other devices. Apple is a very, what can we say? How can we describe Apple? It's a bit of a selfish company because they only like to mix with themselves. Okay. Another weakness is tax avoidance. So Apple tries to avoid um, paying taxes in certain countries. It likes to declare its profits in other countries. Okay, so tax avoidance isn't illegal, but it's seen as a bad thing. Okay, so that's a weakness. And there's huge articles about Apple and other businesses as well, like Amazon, Facebook, all taking part in tax avoidance, which again is legal, but it's not the ethical thing to do. Another weakness, selling charges separately. I have these conversations with my students. We discuss Apple sometimes, and we say, we've done a SWOT analysis, and the students have said a weakness is that Apple now sell, the charger separately. When you buy a new Apple iPhone over £1,000, you don't get a charger with it. So that's quite interesting. Opportunities, selling in countries which they do not already operate in. That's a great opportunity for Apple. Diversifying into new industries, electric vehicles. That's a great opportunity too. And some threats of Apple, COVID, another lockdown that could affect Apple negatively. Competitors such as Samsung and Huawei. Um, again, remember to mention competitors definitely in this exam, and discuss their market share as well and how much they own, and if they're really on a rival level, or if they're on a rise and on their way to competing with them successfully. So you do want to mention competitors, um, and lawsuits as well. So when we're looking at lawsuits, Apple was fined 113 million US dollars for slowing down the old iPhones. Okay, so there's a quick SWOT analysis for you. For Apple, make sure you do a SWOT analysis for the business in the case study which you're provided with. Um, Now, for the SWOT, I would advise you to maybe do a paragraph for each part of the SWOT, and maybe if you have enough time, talk about 2 points for each part of the SWOT. If you can only talk about 1 point, then that's fine. Make sure that 1 point is analyzed and is thoroughly analyzed in detail, in depth. Um, but try to aim for two if you've got enough time. If you think you can handle it, try to aim for 2 points per SWOT. So two strengths, two weaknesses, two opportunities, two threats. Otherwise, one should be enough. One detailed point should be enough. And again, the SWOT analysis is a part of assessment focus 4. Justification. So remember to explicitly relate the SWOT analysis to the research given and your own research that you've done privately. Okay. Ensure it is applied to the business or the industry provided in the case study, and make sure you're demonstrating an understanding of the needs and wants of the customers in the market. Okay, so don't just do a general SWOT analysis. Make sure you're looking at the case study, make sure you're looking at part A, and make sure you clearly demonstrate an understanding of the needs and wants of the customers in the market. So, good luck for your Unit 2 exam, and I'll kindly like to ask you to subscribe to my channel, to subscribe to my Instagram, follow me, and follow me on TikTok too. Um, yeah, so good luck, well done, and I think you'll absolutely smash it.